Well, it's Friday, and tonight this Netflix thing on Joe Exotic's going to come out. God. I mean, those are days I don't want to remember being at that zoo. Oh well. We'll see what happens. Maybe I get lucky and nobody will watch it.
Good morning, I'm Rick. Good morning from North Texas. Quieted down here on the strip only in the last hour. Michael, who took this weapon.
I've been in front of a TV camera most of my life. I've been a famous reporter, a father, an adrenaline junkie, and even a drug addict. My life has literally been a movie, like an action movie. I thought I'd done it all. And all this was before Tiger King happened. A few years ago, I moved to this small city of Buda here in the Arctic Circle in Norway. And I thought I'd finally found some peace and quiet, and that fame was in my past. And then suddenly, life turns into a nightmare.
Tiger King?
Tiger King.
Tiger King.
Tiger King.
I know Kristen can't understand how uncomfortable it is to be famous for a day where you can't even walk down the street without people pointing at you. You know, doing interview after interview, I'm exhausted. This whole Tiger King thing has just come out of nowhere. And me, I'm right at the center of it. The only other guy's sitting in jail, so I get all the attention. People were stopping their cars, rolling down their windows and going, Tiger Rig, Tiger Rig.
It's great to talk to you. You were riveting to see on this thing.
How true is the documentary?
Let me tell you, Harvey, this documentary is so accurate, it's frightening. Well, we've been in Oslo for 2 days, and I've done 12 interviews with television and newspaper. I'm exhausted. I've been doing a lot of press on Joe Exotic and Tiger King lately, but this, folks, will be my very last interview on what really happened at that damn zoo. Oh, are we ready? I had just left Montana working a project for a year as a news director, and I was looking for my next project to take on. And one day, my phone just exploded, and all of my friends started emailing and calling me saying, Rick, there's this guy who owns a little zoo up in Oklahoma, and he's a crazy guy. He wears guns on his side, and he screams, and he's loud, and you got to go up and interview. He's looking for a producer for a little internet TV show. So I called him up, and I said, is this Joe? Hi, yeah, this is Joe. How the are you? And I went, well, I'm good.
Hi, I'm Joe Exotic, otherwise known as the Tiger King, the gay gun cane redneck with a mullet. Welcome to my world. Oh, oh, oh!
And we started to talk, and I said, look, I'd like to come up and see what you got because I'm interested in having a look at the zoo. I went up that night, and the minute I met Joe Exotic, I knew I had a reality show. So I agreed to take on a job of producing his little 30-minute internet show that he did, a little cheap show that he put on the internet for only 35 or 40 people that watched it.
Now, live from the GW Zoo Studios in Oklahoma, the only live animal news station in the world, it's Joe Exotic TV.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to JoeExoticTV.com on this wonderful hump day. Get it? Hump day. Wasn't talking about no camel.
I agreed to do that if he would sign a contract and let me do a reality show so I could have a camera behind his camera crews shooting him.
Between the animals and the people, this zoo is a land of misfits.
This is Joe Exotic TV After Dark.
But everybody's welcome here, as long as they play by my rules.
You know, every one of us who worked in that zoo was kind of a misfit. We really didn't belong anywhere else, and we'd found this one little piece of land with the one thing that we could all care about, the animals.
That was actually one of the draws for me to come out here.
I love my roommates. They're like brothers. They're coworkers, as well as family.
I walked away from about $93,000 a year as an executive chef for a restaurant I've been at for like 15 years.
There's always going to be drama, wherever you are, wherever there is a group of human beings, because that's our nature and that's what we do.
Come on, Julie! Come on, Julie! Joe! You can come in late tomorrow. Do it for 3 seconds. Whoa! So this!
We are in the cage when they do surgery on a tiger, you know, that may have something wrong, has been scratched up, torn up from another tiger during mating or something. We're right there. We get as close to these animals hands-on as the animal handlers or Joe Exotic himself. And sometimes it can be even more dangerous because our eyes are in the camera, not actually on the animal. And so our reaction time can be a split second slower, and a split second slower here is the difference between life and death.
I started this place over 16 years ago with only a deer and a mountain lion. Today, I have over 200 big cats and 500 other exotic animals in my care.
That's the reason that I stayed at the zoo. I didn't leave that night. I ended up living in the zoo that night forward for nearly a year. Last couple of weeks, all my nightmares from that zoo have come back. I'm dreaming about Joe Exotic. It's almost like he's got his hands on me again. Joe Exotic's park, his zoo was 12 acres big. I mean, it was a pretty big place. I was really drawn in by the fact that I could get as close to these animals, a lot closer than any zoo. I mean, close enough to actually get your hand bit off if you wanted to.
You got the producer over there getting his crotch ate. Right on the butt. Did you get that? Tell me you got that. Oh my God, that's funny. Oh my God. And then if he hits the ground, he's fair game. You gotta stay on your feet. Don't mess with me.
Well, we got in for the Animal Spotlight with Rinky today, and it got kind of interesting. You play with juveniles and kids, they're going to be juveniles and kids. Hey, it's all part of living in the zoo.
Come on now.
In America, we always have what we call our wall of shame, which is the things we've done. So this is my little wall of shame, and it goes from where I first came and I did a film fest workshop. I've run the Gompin, taught a little bit here at the university, and of course Tiger King stuff up here. But we call this the wall of shame, and it's kind of our ego. It's my little piece of ego in the world. I did all this. You know, my initial feelings about Joe was that I liked the guy. I liked the guy a lot. He was funny. He'd yell, "Hi, I'm the gay redneck cowboy with the mullet." He was such a personality, and he was so much fun to be around. But that changed after a few months of working with him, and I started seeing the real Joe Exotic.
You don't even look like you're functioning.
No.
You know, you're not working with me anymore. I've warned you, I've asked you, and whatever.
You know, he portrayed himself as this animal lover and this caretaker of animals. But after he got comfortable with me being around with the cameras, he started to do things that I knew were wrong. What really made me realize that the man did not have a very loving heart was when this woman came into the zoo one day pulling a horse trailer. She's crying, going, "Can you please take my horse and give it a good home because I can't afford to take care of her anymore?" And Joe was like, "Of course, honey." And Joe cried. He literally cried with her. "I'll take good care of her. She'll be just fine." They disconnected the horse trailer, and the lady drove off waving. And Joe immediately said, "Rick, follow me." And I'm rolling this video camera behind him, following him up to the horse trailer. He pulled the gun out of his holster, shot the horse dead in the trailer, right in the trailer. He didn't even take it out. And he had a couple of guys come over with chainsaws and chainsaw this horse into pieces and dragged it in and fed the lions with it. And I knew then and there, I had been there 3 months, but I knew right then and there, this is not a good guy. This is not a good guy. Joe had this 18-foot long python snake, and it was sick, and it had gotten injured because he used to put it around the public, around their neck, and let them pose for pictures. So it was sick, and he said, yeah, it's going to be dying soon. So he took it out, and he was making this funny video where he's rolling around with the snake like it's trying to kill him, and he's fighting now. And this poor snake ended up dying after he wrestled around with it. And he cut it up and fed it to the tigers. He didn't care that he had killed this sick snake. That was just the beginning, though, with him. I saw, Joe giving animal drugs to the human beings that were working there. When they'd get a cough or a cold, he'd go grab ketamine, an animal tranquilizer, and shoot them up with that. I saw some crazy things that went on there. There was this thing with college kids who would come onto the park, and Joe had these baby alligators. And Joe would let the college kids raise their shirt and let the alligator bite them on the nipple. And it drew blood. It literally made them bleed. And it became like this cult thing for the local college kids to see if they had the guts to have this alligator bite their nipple.
Lo and behold, about 12:30 last night, we get a call from the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. I'm gonna dart them.
Whatever.
Knock them down, load them up.
However you want to resolve it is perfectly fine with me.
Okay, all right.
Got it.
Well, we got them both caught, put away this morning, and I am on my way to town to buy a decent lariat for the next call.
Most people don't know that Joe was terrified of the lions and the tigers. He was scared to death.
It'd be nice if she'd just walk at me.
Joe's a little guy, and he's very frail. And the only time that he ever really got in a cage with a tiger was for a show. He did a daily show, and he would have 2 tigers come into the cage with him. What people didn't know is that one of the tigers had been sedated, and the other tiger was so old that it was blind. It couldn't see anything, so they weren't going to hurt anybody. A child could have gone in the cage. Every night, when I'd go back into my trailer there at the zoo, I'd look into my dog Bailey's eyes, his little brown eyes, and it gave me enough comfort to get to sleep. But I knew the next morning when I woke up, I was going to be heading back into the crazy world of Joe. Joe Exotic's world. Nightmare. After a few months at the zoo, tension between me and Joe were really beginning to build. On a Monday night, back in 2015, Joe and I were having an argument in his office, and it was an argument over the contract I had for the reality show. And he started talking about how he wanted more money, he didn't want me owning him, and I finally got sick of it, and I said, Joe, look, I do own you. See this piece of paper? I'm making a reality show. It's my show, I own it, and I'm going to pay you a percentage. And he was so angry, he finally said, I don't even want to see you or talk to you. I'm leaving town for a couple of days. We'll talk about it when I get back. Well, he left town, and he was gone for 2 days. But when he left, before he left, he changed the lock on the studio door, and I couldn't get in the next morning. 2 days later, the studio burned to the ground. Now, one thing the FBI found was that the lock was still locked on the door, so whoever got in to set the fire, and it was arson, had to have had a key. Only Joe had a key. I literally dropped to my knees and I started crying. There was my retirement that just went up in flames. I had all my money invested in it, all my equipment invested in it. And after I dried my eyes, I walked back to my trailer, I grabbed my little dog, left all of my possessions there, I got in the truck and I drove back to Dallas, and I never went back. I immediately went to get mental help because I was having a nervous breakdown. Aha, willkommen. Come on in and see our Norwegian castle here in the Arctic Circle. When the studio had burned down and I had lost everything, I was ready for a life as far away from all this craziness as I could find. Come on, Cujo. His name is Charm, but I call him Cujo. The other one is Devil Dog.
Bara kom in.
We had this storage room downstairs that had nothing in it, and I thought, you know what? I need a place I can go when I start feeling homesick and I'm missing America. So I decided I'd create myself an American bar, a pub, all to myself. And this is what I created. This is my getaway place where nobody can bother me. I can have a beer, a cognac, whatever, and it's all American. I built this myself, and I love it. This is the day I got my job, living in Norway. My most proud day was this picture, because this is Gerar Jensen, my best friend who owns Buddha Nu, and he hired me to be a journalist. Here I was a journalist in Norway. And that was a very proud day. Well, I've just come back from a therapy session with my psychiatrist. And of course, Tiger King is all we talk about. That's all we've talked about over the last couple of weeks. I mean, this series has been such a success, but for me it's brought back a lifetime of bullshit memories, bad memories. You know, it's like sometimes I feel like my life is a movie in itself. I'm always doing my video diaries, or I'm always videotaping something else, and it's like sometimes I'm living in a movie and I'm playing the key role. I'm the main character. To fully understand how I could end up producing TV for a guy like Joe Exotic, you have to go back in time and take a look at my background. I never planned to be in television. I never planned to be. I wanted to be a reporter, but there was a dream. I grew up a military brat. My father was a pilot in the Army. He went to Vietnam for 3 different years. So I grew up kind of without a father. But when I was 4 years old, messing around the house, I found a little wind-up film camera. And I taught my mom into buying me a 3-minute reel of film, and I shot my hamster running around in a wheel for 3 minutes. When I was 14, my parents got me a movie camera and a movie projector. And around 1979, when they came out with home movie camera, VHS, I started doing my diaries and talking. Instead of writing my diaries, I would look at a camera and just talk about what I went through and what I was doing in. And I did that for the rest of my life. So I had 30 or 40 years worth of diaries.
It's February 28th, 1990. September 17th, 1991.
It's the 29th of June, 1992.
By the turn of the century, I had recorded about 4,000 hours of footage. My video diaries turned into a movie, TV Junkie, and it actually won the Sundance Film Festival Award.
What's to become of a cornbread country boy, corn-fed boy like me? Or maybe drive me back to town in chains, but I've been framed, you see. Hey man, is that freedom rock? Turn it up, turn around and burn it all down. There's gotta be more than a 2-bit score, so I'm taking off, I'm leaving right now.
Good evening, I'm Rick Kirkham. Good morning, I'm Rick Kirkham. Reporting from North Texas, Rick Kirkham, NBC News. Things have quieted down here on the Strip only in the last hour or so. This raid is part of a major crackdown on crack or rock cocaine. As long as drug dealers supply this, customers will continue to supply this.
I was working as a reporter in Las Vegas. I've been in the business for about 4 years, and after working in Las Vegas for about another 3 years, a producer from New York City came to me and said, Rick, we want to put you on a brand new show called Inside Edition. It's going to be a huge show, it's going to be around a long time, and we want you to be our crime reporter, our investigative reporter. So I left Las Vegas, moved to New York, and overnight increased my pay by 5 times and became pretty famous on Inside Edition.
Rick Kirkham is in Oakland at the site of the rescue attempts.
Bill, I'm standing about 60 yards away now from the worst scene of destruction here in the Oakland area. This was the scene just 7 hours after the delivery of the verdict in the Rodney King case. According to Burton Wolkoff, it was his girlfriend, Stephanie Pachivas, and his own son, Michael, who took this weapon to the apartment that night.
Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Sandra, and good morning, Australia.
Why is it that you have done so many good things?
After a while on Inside Edition, I had gotten so tired of doing crime stories that I talked them into letting me do adventure stories as well. So I started jumping out of airplanes, being shot from the world's largest circus cannon, swimming with sharks, wrestling alligators, you name it, anything I do. I ran with the bulls in Spain. So I took advantage of my popularity and the fact that I could travel for free and did all these wonderful adventures.
This is the Inside Edition Big Island Bureau.
When I first got the job at Inside Edition, I was very lonely because I was doing 21 airplane flights a week. I mean, it was nothing for me to start in Miami for breakfast, be in New York for lunch, and then be in Los Angeles for dinner. That was a normal day for me. So I was quite tired, and I started doing cocaine to keep up the pace.
Come on, Chucky, can we be wild when we take off?
You nervous yet?
I'm getting a little, just a little.
I then ended up marrying a girl that I didn't know very well simply because she was pregnant. And I wanted to have that baby. I was lonely in life.
Yeah, baby.
So the marriage wasn't a good marriage, and I began doing more cocaine. And so I'm doing cocaine whenever I'd go home to Dallas. I'm doing cocaine whenever I'm out flying all over the world doing stories. And the cocaine began to take over, and I started falling down as a reporter.
I'm sure someday I'll appreciate the fact that I sat down and videotaped this. Today's my 37th birthday. And here I am, sitting here, fiending to get these things out and get them into a makeshift little pipe so that I can get a buzz. And that's how horrible the addiction is. Why? I don't understand why.
I have been up all night long smoking crack cocaine. And Chuck Norris had set up the interview with President George Bush.
What basically is happening down here, Chuck?
I knew it was going to be an early interview, about 8:30 in the morning, so I was still high as a kite. The interview went fine. I don't think anybody knew I was on drugs, but my eyes were definitely wide open. But you know, it's kind of a tradition here. We're going to have to at least try the coffee liqueur before we get going crazy here. Well, here's to never getting arrested while drinking and driving. In other words, don't do it.
Yeah, don't
Skull. That is good stuff. I really like that. That's excellent stuff. Actually, I never was much of a drinker prior to about age 40 because I was so into cocaine. Cocaine and alcohol don't go good together because cocaine, you're going up. So you don't want the alcohol taking you down. So I never drank that much, but I did a hell of a lot of cocaine, and it took its toll. I ended up losing my career over it at one point. But fortunately, that's 25 years ago now. I videotaped the birth of both of my children. I videotaped all the special moments that was going on. What was hard was when I would be videotaping me smoking crack, and one of my little kids would come into the bathroom and see me. Yeah, that was hard, because how do you explain to a kid what you're doing when you've got a crack pipe in your hand?
This is babysitting. Ain't bad.
The thing to remember is that we depend on the marsh as much as the marsh creatures do. All of
You
these
gotta enjoy it.
delicious fish and shellfish come from the saltwater marsh. You know, if we can learn to take care of
And
them,
always, always be prepared.
we get some food. Amazing creatures to share the planet with.
I'm setting myself up to die in the next few days. I'm just up in my head. The last 7 years or so has just been so crazy. I've just kind of lost my mind. And I just don't want to live anymore.
When did you get sober?
I got sober in 2000.
2000.
Yeah, right as we started making my film, TV Junkie. I just quit the cocaine completely, got clean.
Did you have help to quit, or did you manage to do
they
that
helped me.
yourself?
You know, when I was working in national TV, they sent me to a rehab, and it helped for 6 months, and then I relapsed again. But so I ended up quitting on my own. Totally, just one day I went cold turkey, said no more cocaine, no more drugs, I'm done.
Figuring out the answer will never bring my career back. It'll never bring my wife back. My money, my cars, my fame, my fortune. I'll never have it again. But it has brought me 6 years of being clean. It has also given me back the very thing that helped get me clean in the first place. These are my sons, Ricky and Dusty.
I never, ever dreamed that my diaries would be out there for the public. You know, I started out looking at it as making a diary that I'd look at someday, but it became like a therapist to me. The more I talked to the camera, I felt like I got it off my chest. And I never rewound a tape. I never looked at it. I just throw the tape in a box and move on. So these were private diaries. I admitted everything. There are a lot on those tapes, you know, of me doing drugs. But I never dreamed that someone would actually get hold of those diaries and put them out there for the world. The only reason I allowed the film to be made was that people told me at the time, if you put this film out with a good director, you may save lives. And it did. In 2017, my home in Dallas also burned down. I was ready to leave and get as far away as possible, so I jumped on a plane heading to the north of Norway, and I decided to marry a girl I'd never met. After TV Junkie, I began getting hundreds of thousands of emails, and one of those emails was from a girl called Kristen from Buda, Norway.
Det var helt tilfeldig at jeg så på TV 2 en kveld at denne filmen dukket opp, TV Junkie. Og den grep meg veldig. Historien hans, det var mange sterke scener som var faktisk litt vonde å se på. Han som person, må jeg jo innrømme, grep meg veldig. Og det at det sluttet med at han ble rusfri og fikk orden på sitt liv, gjorde at jeg på en måte tok kontakt da.
I I got closer to her. Then all of a sudden, I find myself in the fire in the zoo, and then my house burned down after that. And I said, that's it. I'm quitting the business. I'm getting rid of everything, and I'm coming to Norway. I'm going to marry you.
Så jeg dro på flyplassen med en sånn blanding av... Jeg grua meg rett og slett en del. For hva ville skje når han kom ned flytrappa, og hvis jeg faktisk ikke kjente noen ting noe sted? For han hadde allerede bestemt seg. Klikket sånn med en gang han kom. Og jeg skjønte nok at ok, dette her kommer nok til å bli varig.
Our dining area, this is mostly where we spend all of our time, our living room. We're very casual people. We like living a normal life and a quiet life. And these are our kids.
Yeah.
Right, Cujo? Come here, Charm. Come here. Come here. Come. Lexine. Lexine.
Rick came on a tourist visa almost 3 years ago. And after a week or two after he came, he took his return ticket and he set it on fire. I'm not leaving, he said.
I told her I'm here to marry you, and that's what happened. We got married. This is our wedding photograph. God, she's beautiful. She's still that beautiful today. I never thought in my life I'd ever really be in love and actually have a woman that was mine, a soulmate, someone who's there through good, bad, or ugly. She's always there, and she always supports me and loves me. Which way you want to go?
That direction?
Yeah, all right. Buda is just a beautiful place to be. I love this city. About 2 miles this way, I have the ocean, and 2 miles this way, I have a fjord, and 2 miles this way, I have mountains that we can go climb in and walk the dogs through. I live in paradise. I love Buda. I didn't know I was going to get a chance to continue being a journalist when I came here. I thought, I'm just going to have to live off of Kristen and her income and my retirement. I got real lucky in that the editor of the local online newspaper, Buda New, found me in a picture in the newspaper because I was working a film festival here. And he said, go find out who that cowboy is. I want to know more about him. And when he found out I was a journalist, he said, why don't you come work for Buda New, and you can speak English and do video reports about Buda. And I've been doing it now for 2 years.
Gompen, here in Hoopin. Nearly 400 people of all ages are ready to take on this week's 4K run. But today, we're going to make this run a little bit more fun with a new thing called Exhaustion Trivia. You were the first guy in. So let me ask you a couple of questions. Between which two cities does the Hurtigrute start and finish its voyage?
What did you say there?
You get to play Exhaustion Trivia with Buda New. Between which two cities does the Hurtigrute start and finish its voyage?
What?
Rick Kirkham for Buda New.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, what fun.
We just started talking about yesterday's news. The biggest news was a guy throwing his dog out the window.
He threw it out of the window?
Yeah, or down the balcony. So
Did it
and a cat, yeah. So
jeez. Was it why did he throw it out of the window?
That's what we're talking about. So
maybe drinking or
yeah, I don't know. Okay, then...
And once I joined Buddha New, all of a sudden I was part of a team again, part of a journalistic team. And maybe I'm in a small city, but we still work just as hard as if we were in New York City.
All right, this is beer number 8, and we haven't even got to the tequila yet. I decided to give them a rare opportunity. I would go into the cold water. So we got to the tequila. Padre tequila.
I'm getting in my last-minute preparation here at the race. I'm starting at the front, so hopefully a little acceleration, I can stay out, maybe even take the lead.
Yeah, they have a big race here, a big cross-country race on skis, and Buddha New, my employer, said, you know what, Rick, we need to put you in that race. I told them, I've never been on skis in my life. I don't know how to ski. They're like, that's okay, it's easy, really easy.
That's it. I'm done. 400 meters. I'm proud of my 400 meters. I've had a fantastic day. Fantastic day.
So you're gonna do this again sometime?
No.
I'm Rick Kirkham.
No.
He doesn't know what janteloven is, so he stands out a lot, and he's not embarrassed about it. If he's out front here and someone walks by, he says hi. And you know, we don't do that, but he does.
In my earlier days, when I was in my 30s and I was at Inside Edition, the more outrageous I was on camera, the more attention I got. You know, if I wrestled an alligator, I had a whole lot more viewers, you know. If I jumped in with a bunch of man-eating sharks, I had a whole lot more viewers. And that was it. I was seeking the fame, because with the fame came a lot of money.
I don't think I've ever been on top of the world quite like this before. You can't describe this feeling. No, you can't. There's no way to describe it. Nope.
But as I began to get older, the fame, I didn't want it anymore. Then we just started in to do TV Junkie, and I didn't realize how big it was going to be. I had no idea TV Junkie would win the Sundance Film Festival Award, and then I became famous again. Once that kind of quieted down after a few years, I was back behind the camera again, and then lo and behold, Joe Exotic comes, and I'm famous again.
Murder, mayhem, and madness. Good morning, Rick.
Well, good morning from Buddha.
So I've had these periodic times during my life that I've had a whole lot of fame, but fame is fleeting. It comes and goes. And this too will go away. It's just right now it's not going away. Right now it's getting bigger every day.
Netflix's Tiger King Murder, Mayhem, and Madness is the talk of, well, the world. The 7-part series follows Joe Exotic, a gay polygamist one-time presidential candidate and owner of hundreds of big cats and other exotic animals, and his battle with Carol Baskin, an animal activist and owner of a big cat sanctuary.
Joe Exotic is currently serving 22 years in prison for trying to hire a hitman to kill Baskin.
I think Joe Exotic got what he deserves. I think karma came around and bit Joe Exotic in the ass. He was a very evil man, the man I knew. He treated people worse than he treated animals, and he didn't treat animals very good at all. I think that in 22 years, first of all, I don't think he'll live that long. The real irony to this whole thing is that Joe Exotic, all he wanted was to be the most famous person in the world. And the real irony to this whole story is that he is now, but he's stuck behind bars and he can't get anything out of the fame. That's true irony. So I've just been down the street here in Buddha, taking a walk, and all people want to talk about is Tiger King. Hey, look, there's Tiger Rick. Oh, man. You know, in a way, though, maybe I should be grateful. I mean, the whole thing, going through the zoo and Joe Exotic, it took me down, but somehow It also helped let me end up here in Buddha. Coming up in this career, I had to step on people in order to get to the next sometimes, and I didn't care. And I regret it a lot. I regret the fact, I hope I put it in the right words, I regret the fact that I had to step on and hurt so many people to become who I was in America. Here, I've grown up and I've matured, and now I'm happy with who I am. I don't have to step on anybody to get anywhere. I'm respected and I'm liked in my community, and I give back and do everything I can for my community, you know? Even if it includes standing naked on top of a mountain to promote this community, I do it. Because it's for the betterment of Buddha. It's for the betterment of Norway. And to me, I love this country. You know, I'm proud to say that I'm a Buddha-varing. I really am. I'm proud of it. I've been through many ups and downs in my life. Fame, fortune, drama, and drug addiction. Even the Tiger King madness. But hey, I survived.